either side. This is what our skies look like most of the time. And these are examples of what NASA calls man-made clouds made from persistent jet contrails. And NASA has two statements, one of which is written right here so you can have it anytime you need to read it. But their studies and their research since 1975 goes on to say that persistent jet contrails are made up of water vapor and ice crystals. Water vapor is a greenhouse gas. And you're exacerbating global warming when jets leave these persistent jet contrails. And also, you're changing the climate with the man-made clouds they produce. So if anyone says that these are just benign, it's not true, because these are also filled with jet fuel emissions, which are highly toxic to human health. They create asthma, short-term memory loss, cancers. So jet fuel emissions should be cleaned up. And jets should fly where they don't leave persistent jet contrails, because they're another factor in worldwide as well as climate change. Now, people ask me, well, are they leaving contrails like these all over the United States? And I'm going to tell you, I can't find a state that isn't complaining bitterly that they don't have deep blue skies anymore, that they don't have the weather they used to. They're more humid. They have more molds, mildews, fungus, lots of things going on. And I'm saying we need to put a stop to this so that we clear up our skies. And also that when you add the synergistic effect of those contrails that turn into man-made clouds and these programs, we're changing the weather. Now, to go back to the legislation, all of this is going on, making climate change a reality, and we're saying we're going to mitigate problems with the weather because we're going to do more experimentation, and that's what the bills state. What kind of experimentation and what we're mitigating for seems to be in question at this time, because we've got all this experimentation. My idea is to say, let's get this under control, figure out the synergistic effects, and start to eliminate the programs that we don't need for sure, and bring things back under control. And our weather may not be so extreme if we start really working, negotiating with other countries to put a stop to it and to begin to reduce it. So you can reduce things rather than add more programs and experiments on top to quote unquote fix climate change. And if you fix it with an experiment, the experiment could go awry, as has happened in the past. And when these experiments go awry, we're going to suffer the consequences and pay with our food supply losses and with our water supplies not being, and our watersheds not having the amount of water that we need for our use here. So these are the issues that I'm bringing to your attention. Now, there's another thing about man-made clouds. NASA studies talk about they change the climate. But man-made clouds, according to NASA, have a different effect also. When you have man-made cloud cover, the heat stays trapped underneath them, and it warms it up. And that's why they're talking about the exacerbation of global warming, is that when you get this water vapor, the heat doesn't shoot up through and get out into space and go away from us. It stays trapped. So when you talk about global warming, I'm wondering why our legislators and our officials don't say we're going to fly the jets at a different height so that they don't exacerbate global warming. Where's that discussion? Second is that when you hold the heat down here on the ground, at night you're not going to get the freezing temperatures you need to get apple crops. Your fruit crops all need a certain number of fruit set hours. In other words, temperatures that stay below freezing for a certain amount of time. And each one of your crops has a different number of days in the winter that they need to set the crops, and they need to have those temperatures below freezing. We're starting to really begin to see that we're not getting those fruit set hours in California and other areas. So your crop production is going to go down if we stay under these man-made clouds, man-made skies, man-made, whatever you want to say from the jets. And that's going to be an impact in our food supply. Now, the other thing that happens is that direct sunlight, for all things to grow, there's a process of photosynthesis where we need direct sunlight. to come down and hit the earth. And if we don't have photosynthesis, plants don't grow strong, crop production is lowered. So every time someone talks about a shield or we have these man-made clouds, what they don't realize is we're starting to reduce the amount of sunlight reaching the earth. They call it global dimming. There's some other phrases that are used. But if we don't get this direct sunlight, then we're going to get more flu, viruses, more molds, mildew, fungus. And right now in the United States, for example, rickets is on the rise. It's a lack of vitamin D in children, and it's epidemic in parts of California, across the United States. The CDC is looking at this. The University of California is looking at this. A large medical group, Kaiser Permanente, is looking at this. And they're saying that they haven't had rickets in the United States in children since we had children in the coal mines.